Ladies and gentlemen, the Anonymous Librarian is proud to present an extract from Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. I have wrestled with death. It is the most unexciting contest you can imagine. It takes place in an impalpable greyness, with nothing underfoot, with nothing around, without spectators, without glamour, without glory, without the great desire of victory, without the great fear of defeat. In a sickly atmosphere of tepid skepticism, without much belief in your own right, and still less in that of your adversary. If such is the form of ultimate wisdom, then life is a greater riddle than some of us think it to be. I was within a hair's breadth of the last opportunity for pronouncement, and I found with humiliation that probably I would have nothing to say. Ladies and gentlemen, miscreants, mollifiers, welcome to the show. I am the Anonymous Librarian. You can call me out. It's not difficult, it's perfectly fine. And we come to the end of another week and time for another wrap up. Woo! Aren't you excited? I guess I'm excited. It was a good week. It was a good week. Yeah. So I started my month of June by finishing my May read. It happens to the best of us. It happens to the best of us. How do I know it happens to the best of us? Because it happened to me and I am the best of us. Anybody disagree? Anybody disagree? Anybody have the guts to disagree with that? Because you won't, because you know you'd be wrong. Let's move on. Let's get into this. What did I read for this week? And let's start with, as always, the comics and manga. Yeah, I just started with this. I'd spoken a little bit about it. And then I finished it this week. Vinland Saga, Book 4 by Makoto Yukomura. Yes. When I was done with it and I read it and my review, whatever, I saw somebody else wrote the review there and he said, this just leveled up. I would agree. As good as Vinland Saga has already been up to this book just pushed it a little bit further. And it was interesting because the first part of this book, it feels like we're going a bit slower. It's like we're more focused. There's moments are smaller. We're focusing on the characters. It's all like getting things into place. Not really that much but it's very character moments, small moments. We see a character we haven't seen for a long time, since book 1, for the first time again. And then in the second part of this book, and then it's like, Makoto knew what he was doing and everything. Whew. I don't even want to say what it's about. It's just like, wow. Devastating, brilliant, fantastic, satisfying, heartbreaking. There's not a word you cannot use in this book. It punches, its gut punches like few. Small ones in the beginning and big ones by the end, and love it. Also, just want to shout out, there's like a small story there's a samurai story that you get a chapter from at the end of each of this book. Because our farewell is near, is that what it's called, yeah? From our farewell is near. That's an awesome story. It just comes at the end of the other day, and each of these books have a little bit at the end of them. I've really been enjoying. But no. Vinland Saga, early front runner for best comic or manga of the month. It's gonna be hard to beat it. It's gonna be hard to beat it. But hey, let's see. I mean, Saga's still coming up. But okay, so what am I picking up? After that, I'm done with the Vinland Saga. for the rest of the week. So I'm picking up, boom, Lazarus, Volume 2, by, it was like Rocker Lark. Let me go find their names here. Greg Rucker, Michael Lark, yeah. So yeah, this is the first time since I read the first one. I really enjoyed this world. I thought it was an interesting, like in fiefdom, dystopian, sci-fi world, gang warfare type stuff. Really interesting premises. So I want to get into this again. Finally, after a long while, I'm going to more of it. I want to see if it gets even better. I really enjoyed Volume 1 of this. When I read it last year, that will not last me the whole week. So if that's finished, I will pick up One Piece, Volume 5. Finally going into something in One Piece which is past the part that I saw in the show before I stopped watching. I don't know. Do I sound like I'm in a good mood? It sounds like I'm in a good mood, sorry. Let's move on, because the stack is a bit bigger because there was a lot of turnover this week. Oh. So let's move on to the non-fiction reads that I did this week. I did finish tracking on. I don't really have anything to add from last week. I liked it. Great World War I, great personable way. The next is just a great writer. We'll talk more about it on the video on the wrap-up video that will be coming soon. And if you want to hear my thoughts so far, go to last week. I pretty much said everything there. I just finished the last 30 pages. So that is done. I then moved on to pick up my first non-fiction for the month of June, Hollywood on the Veld by Ted Butter. Also, this kind of feels to me like a little bit, reading this book, kind of feels a little bit like the movie Aviator by Martin Scorsese, about how it's used. And about like, especially those early parts where he's still doing the movies specifically. It's just fascinating, and like it is, because South Africa's film industry is not huge. It exists. It's actually getting better, and it's doing pretty decent, but it's not huge. And there was a moment there in the early days where there was one guy that really built like a huge studio and a half. This is in the 1910s. This is when taking place. So yeah, the movie studio was like made in 1914. What a year! Start of World War One. To start 1913, 1914. That's when it start a movie studio, and then it ran to the 30s, making big crazy productions. Ted Butter also he writes very like personable and cinematic in ways. He frames it like a scene and an event a lot, but still it's non-fiction. He gives you an option, and it starts you out with a tease that's about a scene that was filmed in one of the movies that just went haywire, and that's a huge scene that even got like chaos. And now it teaches you to get to that scene. Now I'm getting close to where that is in the book now. I am about, let's see where I am. Yeah. I'm about 93 pages in. There's only 230 pages in this book. 93 pages. I'm not even far from halfway, actually. I am getting there. I should go to halfway then. Just fascinating fun. And it works nice with the Jan Smith stuff I've read, because they were taking place at that similar time period. It's a good history also about like in little how the film industry started in the world, just in the beginning, small stuff. And then how he was trying to emulate what was being done in Hollywood. And then stuff like the stuff I've read about the rebellion in World War I in the other books, and like in International's book, tracking on in the Butter Smiths in the First World War, or the under Smiths' rule. Another part, it just takes place and colors in another part of the South African story, in the art industry, in the film industry specifically. But a lot of those characters that we've met in there also show up here, because this guy was walking in those same circles in Johannesburg and in the country, like in the big circles. They seeing guys from both, like in not a national party, maybe later on, but like in the ruling South African party, like with Jan Smuts and Botha. And then you get like the guys from the ANC and Sol Plaatjes he was also in contact with and doing stuff with. Really enjoying that. And this it reads like a breeze. That with the way he can get you. There's no fluff, no. You almost want him to put in a little bit of extra fluff. Just fascinating, interesting stuff. I'm really enjoying, and just like how films were made back then, and the chaos of making movies back when it just started. Awesome, awesome. So that should take me. I think maybe I should be close to finish with that by the end of the week. If I'm not done with it by the end next week. In fact, I think I would have been further into it, but another book just grabbed my imagination. Okay, don't worry about it. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. It's a teaser. It's what do you call it? 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 I'm just gonna say that till I can think of the right word. What do they call it? 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 Foreshadowing. That's what it was. Foreshadowing. Hey, we are done with the non-fiction. Let's move on to the mundane fiction. Mundane fiction. I think the coffee. I had a good night's rest. I really slept. I slept like over 8 hours. Drink some coffee, in a good mood, and that's why my voice is going crazy. Hey, the first amount I had to finish. And this was I had to finish my May read, which was Eye of the Needle. Now, if you remember last week, I said, "Oh, gee, I've been loving this so much. It was so awesome." But we're at this point now where there's gonna be a change in genre probably because of the setting is different now for the last third, and we'll have to see how he does that. But I wasn't really worried, but everything that went before it was so good. I thought like, no, it's definitely, even though he's changing the genre yet to some degree, or it will definitely, so I'm pretty sure it's going to work perfectly great. It's going to be awesome. I was wrong. I was wrong. This is that. I love a bold swing. I love a bold swing by a writer, by an artist. Go bold. I love it. I'd rather that than just some mundane luck. No, I'm just going to do the basic stuff. I'm not going to try and do something crazy. I love a bold swing. And this book takes a bold swing in its last third. I'll say, to explain it in a better way, the first 2/3 of this book is like a Bourne Identity, a Bourne type movie, you know, a really good spy thriller cat and mouse game. That's really like it's nail biting. It's what we call suspenseful. It's really good. Loved it. The best I've ever read in that version, and I mean it's better than most movies I've seen in that version. The last third of the book turns into, if the first third of the book was like a Bourne Identity type thriller, the last third of the book turns into a Cape Fear type thriller, if you know what Cape Fear is. And though I do think, and though it feels like there's two books in it, kind of, that the Cape Fear thing, if it was just that, that's really well done and really good. And for that genre, if it was just that, it would have been amazing. But for me, it just didn't. It didn't feel like the one went into the other one smoothly. It didn't transition well. I don't know. They didn't seem to work well together. I kept missing the awesomeness of the earlier cat and mouse suspense chase between the spies that I just loved, or the spy and the spy catcher. That was such a high mark that the last one just didn't turn up, and it was such a jarring turn to take. Even though we knew it was going to happen, they kind of, even the back of the book says that this is eventually the road we're going to take. It's still just in. And I won't say it doesn't make sense or there's like loopholes. It just didn't feel as great as there is. Which is funny because there's one of my favorite characters in the book is mostly only in that part, and I really enjoy that character. And even there, I really enjoy that character. But I think the big problem is with that, because the way the story is structured, that last third, there wasn't time for it to really breathe. Because it wouldn't make sense then. Then you would get into stuff. So a lot had to be packed into a small amount of time. So it just felt like a bit insane and crazy. I mean, It's still a great book. I still really enjoyed it, but that I was not spellbound by that. I'll talk more about it on the wrap up, but yeah. I feel like I've already said more than I need to say. But I still would say, like, the first 2/3 of this is like, I feel like if it was just 2 books, then it would have been 2 great books. It feels like he put 2 great books into 1 book. That's kind of what it feels like. And they didn't quite coalesce. After that, I picked up the book that kind of took over my week. It's a short one, but it's Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. It's just over. I must say that there's a blurb at the back by Jorge Lewis. Perhaps the most haunting story that human imagination has ever achieved. Perhaps the most haunting story that human imagination has ever achieved. That's not hyperbole. Man, Joseph Conrad. Whoa. Wow. What a start to a month this is. This is a very strong start for a month to read a book like this. It's going to be hard for anything to get to it. Joseph Conrad. This is strange, like there's a really dark, sarcastic humor in this book as well that I really enjoyed, that I wasn't expecting and I really enjoyed it. And you get a glimpse of it on the first page, and when I read that line and I said, I'm gonna love this. I'm gonna love this. It is, and it kind of felt to me, what Heart of Darkness kind of felt to me, it's like the part you skip in all the other stories is kept in the Heart of Darkness. And the part of in other stories where we focus on is only small bits while we get between the other ones. It was fascinating and beautiful, and it's definitely some of the greatest prose I've ever read. A wonderful book, highly recommended. Definitely one of those unflinching. Yeah, it's kind of unflinching. Although I wouldn't say you do flinch. It's also I was surprised. It's a frame within a frame. So a guy is telling us the story of being on a boat, with Mordo who's telling the story of his journey into the Congo and into the Heart of Darkness. To meet Mr. Kurtz. Really. Your vivid imagination, unique. Yeah, so this one has the Congo Diary in it as well. And I've decided, so the Congo Diary is technically non-fiction. I'm going to read the Congo Diary after, not this, I want to finish but I'm going to finish, okay. When I'm done with the other non-fiction reads that I was planning for this month, I'm going to read the Congo Diaries by Joseph Conrad, just to see that. Yeah, now that must have influenced the story, but unbelievable. Heart of Darkness, a very apt title, and a very nice, the way the characters that you briefly met, and just like it doesn't even get real screen time. It's so memorable, and you feel like you know them better than you do, or you can infer a lot by just the little bit that Conrad gives you about those characters. I definitely want to read more of Conrad's stuff. I can understand it, that would not be for everybody. Because it doesn't hold your hand, it's definitely not nice to you. And it's not going to a nice ending and have a nice thing to say at the end. But it is very interesting and really well written. And strangely dark, comedic, a lot of it. A fascinating tone, and I loved it. So further in the Mundane Fiction, so I finished that yesterday. So from today I will be picking up This River Awakens by Steven Erikson, which I stole from the Toronto Public Library. Never been to Toronto, so how could I steal it? It's one of those I sold, got it second hand from Frist. Yeah, so, but I'm pretty sure, from what I can see, nobody's ever read out of this. I'm going to be the first one to read this specific copy. I'm just excited to get to Steven Erikson again. I really have been enjoying getting into his outside of Malazan stuff. And this is the last one that I've picked up that I still haven't read. Of the Apes, I know comes out in December. As long as with Legacies of Betrayal, the next Malazan book. So of the apes will probably be only January or February next year if I read it. If it's only coming out in December, I don't know, because I'm probably gonna have to order it from overseas, and then it's gonna take like 3 to 4 weeks to get here. And also, it's gonna be over the Christmas break, so it might even take longer. I'm sad. I was hoping you'd come out earlier. I could read 3 Erickson books on this year. But no, okay, I'll read at least 2. Excited. It's like all I know about it is kind of like a coming of age tale. I read the blurb in my TBR on the back of the. I read the back, not a blurb, the back of the thing, the teaser trailer. I read the teaser trailer. Well, I should put the trailer, whatever you want to call it. That is kind of what it is. So I'm just excited to read some Steven Erickson again. And this is early Steven Erickson. This is the only thing he wrote before this that's a novel, as far as I know, was Gardens of the Moon. Hey. And this was actually published before Gardens, it got picked up before. So we're done with the Mundane Fiction. We move on to the sci-fi and fantasy. I don't know why I did it. The plan more. And I have finished this one in the 2 days after the last. The Storm of Swords, the same part. I have nothing to add except for what a book. What a book. And I really enjoyed that ending, the epilogue. I really enjoyed that. I was waiting for that to happen because I've known about that, and it's one of the things the show let out. Yeah. And now I'm really excited. Now I'm really excited to get into Feast of Crows. And yeah, when people say, A Storm of Swords really does level up a lot from a Game of Thrones and a Clash of Kings. This is a big step. But it stands as one of the major high points of fantasy, of the fantasy genre, and I can see why. I had a great time. Could fly through 50, 60 pages on a day easily. And then I picked up Solo Leveling Volume 3. Now I am already at 134 pages, because these read really fast. 135, that's where I'm supposed to begin today. The thing, what this early part of this one is focused on, and I remember it from the show, really enjoying it. It hasn't really got to big battles yet, because it's focusing on the economics of the guilds and the bigger guilds and how they make money and stuff, and like the excavation teams that go in, and how it's this where the small ones was like really like a few guys running into the small gates and fighting, and it's like really amateurish and stuff. These are like the professionals. It's big corporations going into these large gates, and how they go out to get as much money and as much profit from it as possible. I will say it's not an indictment of capitalism, more as like an inferral of capitalism, and how capitalism would work with this if this was happening in the world. And it's really fascinating and crazy. Well, it's kind of jarring. Like, all of my other reads felt jarring when I picked them up after reading sections of Heart of Darkness. So Heart of Darkness' writing is so crazy that anything else, it takes you a moment to get into it, and then it's like you have to like reset your mind just to read anything else again. But I am enjoying it, and I'm getting to really the first major big fight. I'm excited for this. I remember this fight from the show. I remember enjoying it, and it's like, yeah. Also, we finally met the director of the Hunters Association, Ganji No, and I like Ganji. I liked him from the show, and I have really enjoyed him so far. Yeah, he's been a standout character so far in this early part. Enjoying to go further with that. I think it's likely that it will take me most of the week, but I should finish this week. So yeah, pretty good week. I am taking it a bit easier than May. May was too hectic. I can't. I better. It's my fault. It's my fault to think I could read. I was planning to read both A Storm of Swords, the whole Storm of Swords, and another fantasy book. I should have just had A Storm of Swords for the whole of week. But I didn't. I made a mistake. So I'm taking it way down, low down. But this was really the week of Heart of Darkness. I can say a lot. So we're done with that. This was the week of Heart of Darkness. That's one of those reading experiences that you won't easily forget. I've had a couple of things like really good, the prose are interesting. I feel like in some ways it's the three that I have had that I will say is similar or different. They're all very different books, but similar in their vibe, and it's all kind of similar. One is not really yet a classic, but it's probably going to be a classic. It's Piranesi. Again, a little, and even though the streams are completely different and stuff, there was a bit of the way it was written, and a very precise way. If you Ulysses also felt like it to some degree, although Ulysses was the unhinged version of it all. And Cannery Row by John Steinbeck. Yeah, and it's like, if it's a prose thing, Heart of Darkness is one of those that will stay with you. It will stay with you, no matter how strong you think you are, or I don't know. And I can see how people will hate it, even there, and you was like, yeah, you can hate it. How can you say that? You can't say the prose is amazing, exceptional, and Conrad's not an exceptional writer. Yeah. Also, if you hate it, if you give it 1 star, I feel like you're endorsing colonialism. That's what I'm saying. Anybody who gave Heart of Darkness a 1 star on Goodreads. The reason I'm going on like this because it's a booktuber. It was a really nice guy, but I saw he gave Heart of Darkness 1 star. Anybody who gives Heart of Darkness 1 star condones colonialism. That is my statement. That is my point. That is a fact of life. No argument. No argument. So if you want to know who condones colonialism, just go and look at all the people that gave Heart of Darkness 1 star. I gave it 5. 5. See, so it means I am against colonialism. No, that's not colonial. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. The opposite is not true. Then it's not like if you laughed at it, makes you're against colonialism. Even if you're against, but you could still love it, and you could love stuff that you don't agree with, or stuff that you do agree with, whatever. I don't know what. I think there was a point in there somewhere. Whatever it was, I don't know what it was. You can figure it out, and then you tell me what it was, and then you tell me I'm brilliant, okay? Happy with that? Everybody happy with that? And we're done. We're done for this week. I enjoyed this update. I enjoyed doing this update. But will you enjoy it? Will you appreciate it? Will you like? Will you subscribe? It's always a struggle with you, right? It's always a struggle. I give my best. I try and educate you. I try and make you a better person. Try and try. I'll keep trying. I mean, I'll be Sisyphus. I am Sisyphus rolling the bloody stone up the hill, right? Just leave me. Just leave me alone. Bye. See you next week. But now, there's another video coming out later in the week. See you then. Bye. Bye. Bye.